$5,000 grant, $50,000 grant, $10,000 grant, multiple grants that are coming right away, but I'm getting viewers $15,000 right now, $16,000 for rent, for utilities, for stimulus. How are we doing it and where is it? I'll be going over that in this video. Meantime, hazard pay, is it back on? And then the breaking details, $800 billion of CARES Act 1 relocated on top of the existing 800. How did this happen and what does this mean for hazard pay? Is hazard pay coming back on in a second stimulus package before the holidays? This is Purple. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Purple with breaking news about hazard pay, grants, free money, stimulus checks, and more. Boy, I mean, it is just developing very quickly. Things are changing by the minute this Saturday afternoon, and I have a lot of breaking news, so I really appreciate you for joining me. If you've not subscribed, please do, because I'm getting viewers money right now. Not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now. Money right now. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can get lined up to get this money even on a Saturday, with new details developing just today. Then I'll be turning to hazard pay. Then the $50,000 grant, the $10,000 grant, the other $10,000 grant, and what's going on with the stimulus check. More and breaking details coming out of Washington and also across the country. Oh, if you've not liked this video, also like this video. It helps in the rankings. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that there's a lot of money for you to get. Who is you? Every viewer of this channel. If I say you don't qualify, I will say you don't qualify. And the only people who don't qualify are very rich people. If you are watching this channel and you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, go apply. If you're if you are not behind on your rent and you're up to date on your rent, consider the programs. Don't not apply. If you are a single mom and your rent is $825 a month and you think they won't cover $825 a month, guess what? A viewer got their $825 a month rent applied and approved. So let's get to the details. When we're talking about this money, it's free money, it's stimulus, it's grants, it's in your city, your county, and your state. And I'm going to tell you where it is and what you could do over this weekend here on Saturday, and also what you can do on Monday. The money was given from the Congress on the CARES Act 1, $150 billion to states to then give to cities and counties for COVID relief. Every state got it. From those states, they then kept some from the state level and then gave some to the cities and the counties. What transpired after that was some cities and counties used the money relatively early. Some spent it a little bit later. For example, in LA County, I detailed the LA County grant in July. In New York, I detailed the New York grant in August. But in other cities and counties, they had still not used it as of a day or so ago, as of today. So now they have to use it or lose it. The lose it date is just a few weeks away, December 15th. And so those cities are scrambling to hand out the money because they will lose it and return it to Congress. So what are they doing? Rental grants, number one item. 90% of the viewers have gotten rental grants. Second, they're sometimes coupling rental grants with utility grants. Third, they're sometimes adding on stimulus checks. And very rarely it's a hazard pay or it is a business grant. Where is this money located and how do you find it? In this video, I'm going to explain to you additional ways in which you can find the money beyond what I've detailed to you before. I initially told you go on Google News. Look for news articles about city plus CARES Act plus grant. Some people had problems with Google News. Then I told you try 2-in-1. Then some people said the 2-in-1 operators were unhelpful or the 2-in-1 operator was a computer system. It wasn't a person. So then I said, go to the city and county's website and the state housing authority. So this is what you could do on a Saturday. You go to your city's official website, your county's official website, and your state's housing authority, and look for COVID grants. Also look for rental grants. So you're going to be looking in at least 3 places. Those grants will be delineated on there. They'll generally even tell you how you're eligible. Online, you can then apply. I have had a lot of viewers contact me on DM and Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter in the last few hours saying, thank you, I found a grant, I applied today. Very simple. Next, think out of the box. If you are in a major city like New York or Chicago or LA, then and you presume that the grants for your city were announced for rent in August and they're not doing another round for rent, think out of the box. Here's an example. LA, there's utility grants. So if you have a utility bill, you can get the utility bill paid as a grant. There are food grants. So think out of the box. Next, how much money is it? It's a lot of money. It's generally 6 months to 12 months, an entire year of rent. Then, if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security benefits, or you are not behind on your rent, or your rent is very expensive, like $825, don't sit back and say, I wonder if I should even do this. I don't know if I qualify. What are you doing? Find it and then get the number of the person that's administering the program and call them on the phone. They will help you. It's as simple as that. Next, some viewers have encountered very rude and obnoxious government officials when you call the departments. Hey, guess what? It's called the government. They're rude. So don't take it personal. Don't worry if someone's rude to you, and don't take a no as a stop of the process. Some viewers have literally gotten one no answer and then stopped and then not proceeded. That's not pushing. I'm trying to push you. I'm trying to motivate you. Please keep on pushing. Next, there's ultimately someone that wants to post a negative comment that's generally false. For example, this morning, someone again out of Florida, I don't know what's with Florida, but there was another person out of Florida said, there is no grants in the state of Florida. Untrue. It's just so untrue. On Thursday, they announced on Monday, 24,000 people in the city, in Orange County of Florida got stimulus grants of $1,800. I detailed it on this channel. Then one of the viewers watched it and got the grant on Wednesday. 3 other viewers since Thursday have gotten rent grants upwards of $7,000 to $10,000 out of Miami, Miami Springs, and another part of the county. Moreover, just since morning's LALATE, someone had a Palm Springs West Palm or Palm, I always forget which one it is, West Palm or Palm Beach grant for rent. Another one had a Broward County grant for rent. These are all by the cities, by the counties. So go get them. And what I want you to understand is that if you see something negative, don't consider the process done for you. Ignore it and keep on moving on. Next, I've had at least one viewer say, you know what? Thank you for helping me get thousands of dollars. I want to help others. If you want to help others and help them find grants for where they live, send me a DM on Twitter or send me a DM on Instagram, and that says, hi, I want to be included in the messaging, and I will post to the channel. These will be people to help you locate these things. Next, let's turn to the hazard pay. Hazard pay is being actually offered in some cities, but not in very large quantities. However, Biden wants hazard pay to be offered right away. The Temple Doom wants hazard pay to be offered right away. And Mitch McConnell wants to be offered right away. But their descriptions of hazard pay change. Let me explain what's going on. The current hazard pay that's being offered in cities and counties is a hazard pay in which you apply. That's the public hazard pay. Second, there's private hazard pay. Some big box retailers are paying bonus pay. Approach your employer and ask, are you paying bonus pay? Because some of them are, and they're not calling it hazard pay, and they're paying if you're part-time, full-time, or even overtime. They're paying it. So go ask them. I don't want you to miss it. Contact your HR department, your human resources department. Next, Biden wants hazard pay to be offered in a very large magnitude. The Temple of Doom had hazard pay in the original Heroes Act, removed it, then put it back in. It's unclear where it is right now. But Mitch McConnell says that he would give state and local money under a second stimulus package now, provided it's given to essential workers. What's important for you to understand as you sit here today is who are the essential workers in each of these hazard pay plans. When they generally talk about essential workers from state and local money, they're not talking about private essential workers. They're not talking about Uber and Lyft and truck drivers and warehouse workers or grocery stores. They're talking about people who are employed by the city and state as essential workers, fire and rescue, ambulances and things like that, teachers. So there is a disconnect in the language. But will you get hazard pay? Yes. Will you get it right now? No. Everyone is pushing for hazard pay. The problem is that the push has not been as vocal as this channel. I have pushed for hazard pay every video, every day at 4 o'clock since the month of May. And what's important to understand is that's $10,000. It's $10,000 if you worked any time from the pandemic, from January of this year to 60 days after the pandemic ends. Calculate it at $13 an hour. You take the number of hours you work, whether it's part-time, full-time, or overtime, times it by $13 an hour, and that's your amount of money for hazard pay. If you don't reach that threshold, you'll get a lump sum for how much you've reached, and then get $13 thereafter. What's very simple is that everyone wants to give this for you, but hasn't been able to come around to it. But then there's this twist. On check right before this, I revealed to you that there's now not $800 billion of unused CARES Act 1 money sitting around, but upwards of almost $2 trillion of CARES Act 1 money sitting around. And there could be more. Suddenly there's enough money for hazard pay. So why don't they do hazard pay? I believe Mitch McConnell would do hazard pay for you because suddenly now it doesn't cost him anything. Yeah, that was sort of the magic wand. And there you go. What else would Mitch McConnell do if they're with this $2 trillion of potentially sitting around? EIDL grants, CDC grants, previous EIDL grants, and the $50,000 grant? I don't know. That might come in January. Let's go over each of these grants. First, the CDC grant. Some viewers said they called up the CDC and asked about the CDC grant. This is where viewers are sometimes not potentially paying very close attention. I talk a little fast, I apologize. But the CDC grant is not law yet. It's proposed law. The CDC grant will give you a grant if you're an essential worker, and it will be underwritten by the CDC, and that's what is proposed under the second stimulus package. Also proposed is the return of the EIDL grant. That's at SBA. Don't call up SBA and say, LA told me there's a $10,000 grant. Do you have it for me? I'm certainly certain that SBA knows about me by now. Inside joke. But don't be calling them up and say, LA told me to call you, because I did not tell you to call them. There will be $10,000 for EIDL coming back. Then people who did not get the $10,000 of EIDL the first time, coming back. Yes, I have hundreds of thousands. I don't even know how many viewers. It could be 500,000 viewers who never got that EIDL grant the first time around or got $1,000 instead of the full $10,000. That's coming back. It's all believed that all those Democratic written letters to Javita Carranza demanding the remainder of the CARES Act 1 money of EIDL grant paid to American citizens to be paid will now become a reality in January when Javita Carranza is gone. So that is the rub that we sit here with. And then the $50,000 grant. There's a $50,000 grant called the Lifeline grant. The question is when and how soon. I don't see that happening anytime during the holidays. I see that happening in January. But this is why it's so important to understand all these grants. Next, what's important to understand is that if you get one grant, it does not disqualify you for another things. Ultimately, sometimes when I give positive news, there's always someone that comes back and says, but it disqualifies me from something else, but I can't get that other thing then? No, don't presume the thing unless I tell you. And if you don't even believe me, then call up the agency and ask them yourself. The only thing that really inherently disqualify one another is PPP with something else, but PPP doesn't exist anymore. Or in some cases, when you're getting something for a grant and yet you're on unemployment, they are contradictory statements. Those are the only two situations you should be worried about. Grants for SSI and SSDI, no. So when you're looking for grants, going back to what I started this video with, when you're looking for the grants, the CARES Act 1 grant, the existing grants that was established by CARES Act 1 that's currently sitting in your cities and counties that includes a lot of money for rent and utilities, do not call them up and say, hi, do you have grants for SSDI or SSI? They're going to look at you and say, what are you talking about? They have grants. They don't have grants for this. They have grants for rent and they have grants for utilities, but they do not have grants for people who brush their hair on the left or for people who wear their button their shirt up to the top button. They don't do that type of writing of the way the grants is. So if you ask it that specifically, they won't know what you're referring to. Next, don't use my name. Cracks me up every time I see that. Finally, one advice that one viewer gave on holidays LALATE was absolutely incredible. That viewer said, you know what, when calling someone up, use different words if they don't understand what they're saying. This is what the viewer said, I called up, I used the word grant. They didn't understand what the word grant meant. They did not understand what the word grant meant. So I said to the operator, do you have any information about rental assistance, paying your rent? Oh, of course I do. I didn't know what you're talking about. So let's recap. When calling up or searching for grants, you need to use words that mean a lot of different things. It may be called a COVID grant. It may be called a CARES Act 1 grant. It may be called a assistance, like rental assistance. It may it may be coupled with a specific word like utilities assistance. Do not add words to it that you make the thing more complicated, like an SSI grant. There is no such thing as an SSI grant. And make it very simple. Then work out of the box. I have had viewers who have pulled their utility bill and looked on the utility bill and found a grant on the bill. In those cases, I refer to as a grant. It actually was not called a grant. It was called assistance paying your bill. We will give you a reduction or reduce you or give you free money if you cannot pay your bill because of COVID. A lot of these utility companies were given money by the federal government to do this type of thing. So ultimately, if you're looking for utilities and you've used my items of things that to call and reach out to and websites to look at, also contact your utility company. They're open over the weekend. Go on your utilities company's website. Look for gas, look for water, look for electric. They all have something. Then also consider other things. Some people have found things like community action in Alabama. So think outside of the box for where you are. Ultimately, it works and viewers continue to get money. I want you to keep on pushing. And if you want to help other viewers find grants, send me a DM on Twitter or on Instagram, and I will share your information on the community page of this channel. Also subscribe. I'm updating information by the minute. As new information comes in, I'm posting it. As success stories come in, I'm posting it. Viewers are sending me information about grants because that's the spirit of this channel. Helping one another, not competing with one another. So I'm sharing the information of grants as I hear about them on this channel. So ensure you subscribe. About 2,000 new people are joining per day because I'm helping people around the clock, 24/7, and I'll be here tomorrow. And I'll be here in 20 minutes from now on Being a Mitch. Join me with breaking developments on what's going on with Mitch and why this newfound money could make the difference. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LA for more.